we are at the lashing portion of the basket. So here's my lasher, nice and wet. And remember, we made the rim sandwich with 2 rims, and then actually I put another piece of this same weaving material up here, just kind of makes it a little showier. And then we've got the filler that's kind of the same color as that too. It's just a very colorful basket. Anyways, so we are going to lash, and what I try to do is start on a stake that was cut and not folded. Just gives me a little bit more room. And if I'm working with or in an area where there's a tie wrap and it's in my way, then it goes away. So what I want to do is I want to come down in between the rim, and then I want to go under a couple rows and then come back. So having a weave right tool can really assist you in the process. So then what I want to do, when I've got that under 2 of those first 2 rows, then I'm going to bend that, kind of bring it up over itself on top of those 2 that I just went under, and then pull that up. Make sure you got enough length there. So it like goes right on top of itself, and then that way when I pull that, it's not going anywhere, and then I can just trim that little excess off. Okay, get a better eye view in there. So that's how I'm going to start it, and I'm going to trim that off. Now what I want to do is I want to lash next to each one of these stakes. And you see what I'm doing? And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want it to turn. I'm going to put a nice little point on there because it's easier to thread through. Use my weave right tool. I want to be at the last row of weaving and the false rim. Remember, the false rim was that last purple one that we did. Okay? Now this may seem a little tedious because it's a long piece, but you want to make sure that you don't twist it. So, pull it tight, okay? The next stake is on the other side of this one. Now the other thing you can do to ensure that you don't twist your lasher, see I'm making a space there, is you can do 2 or 3 of these and then just work them back through. And that way you're still guaranteed that you're not going to have a twist in your lasher. Okay? So then I'm going to come back here, make sure this one's tight. And either way you do this is fine. There is probably a cajillion ways to lash, and the same amount to start a lasher, finish a lasher. I mean, there's no one right way to do anything in basketry. Okay, now that had a little crack in it when I bent it, didn't have it wet enough. So I'm going to make sure that that lasher's on top of that. Okay, now there's one other thing I want to show you here. If you want to put an X on where your shoulder strap is, you don't have to do this. Some people will go around, lash one way, and then, you know, come back and lash the other way. It makes for a stronger basket, but I don't do that. So if I want to put an X on that shoulder strap, what I would do is I would come across the back first, And I would go right back into that same hole that's next to the, or the left where I started out. So you're going to go 2 times in the same hole. Because anytime you're doing an X lashing, the first part always starts from the right to the left, and then the left to the right. Doesn't matter if you're doing a 3-point lashing, a 5-point lashing, a 99-point lashing, it's always the same. Okay? So then you see that I'm still going from the left to the right direction. Okay, and I'm not going back this way. So the second part of my X always starts on the left, goes to the right, always starts from the top and goes to the bottom. Hard to see that when you're right-handed. Making sure that I don't have a twist in my lasher, okay? And so then I'm just going to finish this all the way around. And then when I get back to that starting point, I'll finish it the same way I started it, by going down underneath, between the 2 rims, underneath 2 weavers, and then coming back on top of it. And that is your basket. So I'll put a liner in this, and I will sew these 2 to the bottom, or not to the bottom, to each other. And so that's just one continuous piece, and I'll put a liner in there that's removable.